This segment is all about selling your business in today's economy. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals finally get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Evan Meester. He's the founder of Results Business Advisors. Evan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Evan, tell us a little bit about your work and let us know specifically who are the types of businesses that you specialize in helping.
Yeah, sure. So for the last 10 years or so, we've been focused on, we'll say, the lower middle market, which is typically enterprise values between $1 and $20 million. And we focus on that segment predominantly because these are well-run businesses with management in place. They're attractive businesses to buyers out there, and it's just been a great area for us to focus on because it's underserved. And we focus predominantly nationwide, but predominantly on the Midwest region.
With that level of business, are they often prepared to sell, and do they know even where to begin? What have you found with most of your clients?
I think most of them do some planning. Again, the larger the business, the more planning that's typically done. But I would say the majority of the time they come to us. Once we get involved, they're ready to sell. So the prep work hopefully has been done to that point. But I'd say maybe half of the time it actually has been done. Succession planning and exit planning, those types of things. Because you have to have a goal in mind. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? So once we get involved, sometimes we've been talking to them for years, and maybe it's their CPA or their attorney that referred us. And if that's the case, we're set up very, very well for an exit. It's fairly common though that somebody wakes up and they're 65 years old and they started the business 30, 40 years ago, and they've been promising their wife for 10 years they want to go spend more time at their vacation home. And they wake up and the wife puts her foot down and says, "Today's the day, honey, figure it out." So that's when we get involved.
Right on. When you work with these business owners, have you found any common myths or misconceptions they might hold in regards to selling a business or the process?
Yeah, I think there's always a lot of questions because most of them have not gone through the process before. So that's where we can help with holding hands and really having a solid process to follow. That's very, very important. And, I think valuation is obviously very, very important because if you're going to sell your business, what's it worth? How long is it going to take to sell? What's the process look like? Where do you find your buyers? Those are all legitimate questions that they have, and that education starts, up front. But valuation is definitely a key piece of it.
I read a statistic that was interesting that as high as 80% of the businesses that go on the market end up unsold. Can you kind of speak to that and what causes businesses to go unsold, and to the opposite, what helps a business look attractive and be sellable?
Yeah, sure. So there's a number of factors that go into that. I've seen that I've seen that same stat out there, Mark, as well. I would venture to say if you dig a little, peel the onion back a few layers, a lot of those are smaller businesses that don't have mature management structures in place and maybe a long history and that type of thing. Especially if some of those are short history startups, that type of deal. Now, for the businesses that are mature, once again, they're going to look at things like what I keep stressing it, management structure. Somebody buys the business, for a larger business, let's say it's a $10 million company, the person buying it, I'm sure will be involved, but they don't want to be the person running it day to day. In other words, the seller cannot be an integral part of that business when they walk out the door. They have to already kind of be at arm's length. So that's key. The other key is, customer, the customer concentration. So, if you're getting 80% of your revenue from a handful of customers, that's a problem, because those are often relationship based that do go away with the seller potentially, right? Now, if you have an industry, you're in an industry that's in a niche market, that's very good because you don't have a lot of competitors, not a lot of other choices for your customers to go to, right? So the type of market, if you're selling widgets and you're competing on price and low price, that's another business model, right? And if you're very, very good at it, like Amazon, you know, you can do very well. But that's usually undesirable for most buyers. They want more of a niche product, a niche industry, and they can sell their products at a premium where you're not constantly getting beat up on price. So those are just a few pieces of the puzzle that buyers will look at.
Great insights. Evan, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners specifically with selling their businesses? How did you get started?
Yeah, I started it because I've done a couple of startups and grown them and sold them, and we're located headquartered here in Omaha, Nebraska, and so I went around to different brokers because at this company that I was selling, I had a partner, and so I had to go figure out, okay, what's this thing worth? Because it was my first time. This is a first time deal. So what's this worth? And I went to different brokers, and then do you have buyers for this business? Um, and what else do you have for sale? Because I need a job. So that's how I got exposed to the brokerage industry, and I was like underwhelmed. A few years goes by, and my partner ended up buying me out. It was all good. And a few years goes by, and I was selling technology, software, and services for a guy that I've known, has really, really nice business here in Omaha. And I always thought about that. And long story short, my wife said, "Hey, you're traveling. If we're going to have kids, you need to figure out plan B." So my plan B was I went back to that experience and went to a broker I really enjoyed talking with a few years back then, and said, "Hey, I want to start this and do things the right way." And he said, "I'd love to be part of it." So he was my first hire, and just kind of grew it from there. And the rest, they say, is history.
Terrific. Evan, before I ask you my last question, in regards to selling a business in today's market, is there anything I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners?
I think a lot of business owners, if not all business owners, want to get, they want to get the most money out of their business when they sell it, which is totally understandable, right? So I think the challenge is they're really they're trying to get paid for the blood, sweat, and tears that they put in. And that doesn't always translate when you're looking at a P&L or a tax return and that sort of thing. So I've never done a valuation where an owner said, "Oh my gosh, I was thinking lower than that." It's always, "Oh, I understand where you're coming from. It's substantiated, but I'd like to price it at this." And that's okay. We don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, a business owner needs to really be honest with himself. What's the timeline? If you want to get this sold in the national averages are 9 to 12 months. If you want to get this sold within that period of time, you need to price it fairly close to what the valuation is going to show, because it's not just about our valuation. It's going to be more importantly what the buyer values it at and the bank. So if all that stuff lines up, it'll be a smooth sale for the most part, right? But if you don't do that, and I don't want to use the word greedy, but if you want to get too high of a dollar amount, it's going to take longer to sell, and it can sit there and get stale. That's the risk you run. So that's very, very important for people to be honest upfront with themselves on what it's really worth.
Sage advice. For business owners listening who would love to speak with you, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Sure. You can reach out to me. My cell phone number is on the website, or our office number is on the website. Our website is www.resultsba.com. And yeah, you can reach out to me or one of my team members. There's 6 of us there. We all have a different variety of experience, but yeah, feel free to reach out to me directly, and we will call you back.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you, your team, and for all of your clients.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate the time.
That was Evan Meester. He's the founder of Results Business Advisors, and this segment was brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals finally get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses and practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.